Hello crafty friends, I'm Lien from Studio Kato and I am so happy to be back with a fun rainbow video. Now this is some inspiration to go with the deal going on at the Syberia shop right now. So there's a fun deal going on if you buy this stamp set. This is the Always Be Yourself stamp set and the coordinating die set. You can get the Quirky Rainbow die completely free of charge. All you have to do is add it to your card together with the Always Be Yourself stamp and coordinating die set, and you don't need a code or anything, it will just be free. So I have a few ideas to share today, and we're going to start out by stamping one of the beautiful unicorns using our Misty. I'm using the original Misty because I like the size. It's the only one I have and it's perfect for that. I wouldn't be able to just use the small one, I think, so I really like the original one. I'm stamping this in alcohol marker friendly ink, and then I am going to color this in with my Ohuhu brush markers, and I think there's also a sale on those right now. I will leave a link below if I can find it. I think you can get 10% off of them, so that would be amazing. These are great markers. They're already very budget friendly. You can get 320 markers, I think. In their largest set. I don't have their largest set. I got my set just before they came out with a larger one. So maybe I should get a new set. Although, I mean, how many markers can you possibly need, right? So I'm keeping this coloring fairly simple. I never know how to color unicorns. I'm always very, very scared of coloring them, but if I just keep it light gray and do something crazy with the hair, I feel like it works. So that's what I do. I am just going to color this in some light grays. I am going to give her a golden horn, and then I'm going to do all of the rest in very bright pink. I always go from dark to light in my coloring because I feel like that's the most efficient way to work for me. And I do get quite good results that way, I find. I do try to go for quite a bit of contrast in my coloring, so my dark is very dark and my light is very light. Even though for unicorns, I try to keep it all a little bit on the lighter side. I do still try to go for contrast because I feel like that brings the images to life. Now, what also helps in that is a very crisp black outline. And to achieve that, I always stamp my images twice. Once before coloring, I leave the stamp in my Misty, and then I stamp it again in a very intense black ink. This is the VersaFine Onyx Black. And what is great about this ink is it's a pigment ink, so you can actually emboss with it. I like to do this after I'm done coloring because coloring with your alcohol markers over an embossed outline can ruin your alcohol markers, and it also rubs away the embossing powder, so there is no use in coloring after you're done embossing. So I'm just going to sprinkle on the embossing powder. I am going to use my favorite one, which is Wow Clear Gloss Superfine Embossing Powder. I actually don't know why I didn't speed this part up, but we're gonna keep talking. And once that's done, I'm just going to hit that with my heat gun a little bit. This is also from Wow, and it has 2 settings. This is a great heat gun if you're looking for one, but I feel like most of you already have one. Now you can see some cut pieces here that I already cut with the Nested Scalloped Frames die set from Syberia Designs. This is a huge die set and it's very, very cleverly designed, so you can always make a frame if you put one of the scalloped dies together with one of the regular rectangle ones. Obviously, you can also use those pieces separately like I'm doing here. So I cut a scalloped panel, and then from some scrap cardstock, I die cut a frame, and I'm going to use that as a stencil. You can just cut a rectangle out of a piece of cardstock. You don't have to cut a frame for this to work, but this way, because the frame is the exact size of my panel below it, it's a lot easier to line it up together. So that's why I cut the frame. You can also just use a die cut frame over an ink blended background and not use it as a stencil, but I didn't want the added dimension for this part. So sometimes I just like the look of a stencil background where you don't have a dimensional difference between the elements of the frame and the background. I'm going to stencil on, or I'm just going to ink blend really. This is my Inkstand Mini off to the side to hold all of my Concord and 9th ink cubes. I really love both of these products a lot. The Concord and 9th inks are probably my favorite inks, especially since they came out with the new colors, because they really, really complete the rainbow. And it's still not an overwhelming amount of ink. Even if you buy the full-size pads, it's not a ton of ink that you have to store away somewhere. I feel like this is a very manageable sized collection. And I definitely look for that because I do want the full set of everything. But if it's too big, it feels too daunting to me. So I don't even start collecting things if there are too many colors. So I'm just going from light to dark here. When you're doing ink blending, I find it easiest to build up color that way. And I'm just using some blending brushes. These are from Waffle Flower Crafts, and there is another set that I use, and I just completely forgot where they are from, and they don't have a brand name on them, I think. I've also washed them quite a bit, so maybe it rubbed off. I'll have to look for those. I think I know where I ordered them from, but I don't know which brand that was anymore. So if I find it, I will leave it linked below as well. But all of the blending brushes are the same. Just get a size that is good for you and you'll be golden. I do like the ones with the rainbow or the rainbow sets, so I know which color brush I have to use for which ink. That does help me a little bit. I did put another piece of white cardstock on top of a white note card. I am going to start doing that more because cards are just a little bit more sturdy if you have a extra piece of cardstock on top of them. And then the scalloped panel I propped up with a piece of cardboard. And then we can finally get to the Quirky Rainbow die set, which is, I say this so often, but this is really, really one of my favorite products from the latest Syberia Designs release. It's just so fun, and I do love a good rainbow card, and this one makes it so easy. Most of the small rainbow die sets that I have had before, or that I've seen before, they come in one piece. It's a one-piece die that cuts out all of the rainbow arches. And then you end up having to cut so many arches out of so many colors, and you have so many pieces left over, because most of the time you really only need one rainbow. This one, all of the arches come separately, so it's really easy to cut them each out of a different color cardstock. That definitely helped me a lot with these cards. I really like that. And you can still cut them all out of the same piece of cardstock. If you want to make a shaker, for example, that would be really fun for this as well. You can still cut them out of the same piece of cardstock, but most of the time you're not going to do that. So I really like that they're separate pieces. All of these arches, by the way, are stacked up quite a few layers high. I cut them 3 times out of scrap pieces of cardstock. I used some packaging for stamps or die sets that was quite sturdy and quite thick, and then I added a layer of colored cardstock on top. I'm doing the same with the tiny heart that comes in the Quirky Rainbow die set, and I just use, because it's such a small piece, I just layer it up straight on my card, and I hold the pieces with a jewel picker. That makes it a lot easier for me. I'm going to prop that rainbow up on some foam tape, making sure not to add any foam tape where it's overlapping with the rainbow, so there's not too much dimension there, and that's it. I do add gems to these a little bit later on to both of my cards, but I didn't show that this time. I absolutely love that cute unicorn. It's such a fun unicorn set. And if you want to get it, you get the rainbow die for free this time. So I highly recommend you check out the sale going on. Now for my second card, I am going to start with my favorite cover die from the latest release. This looks, the cover die doesn't look like much at the start, but I have used it on 5 cards so far, and I haven't made that many more cards with the new release. It goes with everything. It adds such a fun touch. And if you prop it up like I'm going to do now, so I added a piece of cream cardstock to my white note card first, and then I am going to prop this panel up on some strips of foam tape. It really adds a fun little touch to your card. It's not a complicated background. It doesn't add a very busy background to your card. It just adds a little something, and I really, really love it. I think it would be great for teacher appreciation cards too. It just feels like it would work great for that. And you can trim it down like I did here. It's just a really, really fun little background. Again, it doesn't look like much, and even when I saw it in the catalog or in the shop, I didn't quite know what I was going to do with it myself, and I just find myself using it over and over again. For the rainbow arches, I'm doing the same thing again. These white pieces are already stacked 3 layers high, and then I add a colored piece on top. And then I just glue all of them on my card base. So I always do the outermost arch first because it's easiest to center the rainbow that way onto your card. And then the other arches really easily fall into place below that. I used quite different colors on this card, but I feel like it's a really fun color combination here. It's not one I would usually go for because they are very screamy colors, and usually I would tone that down with something else. I didn't this time, and I like it that way. I'm going to add that heart again in the center below the rainbow. And again, it's stacked 3 layers high of white cardstock with a jewel picker, and then I am going to use that same jewel picker to add that pink heart on top. All I'm going to add to this card is a sentiment, and this is a very, very dainty sentiment. This is not one set of sentiments, by the way. This is 3 sets of sentiments. You can buy all these sentiments separately. They each come with a shadow die as well. Because they're so dainty, that would be very handy, but I thought I would like that thanks die cut to just be very, very dainty over top of my rainbow. Now they are quite easy to stack still, because I did stack them. All you have to do is add your glue and then take a scrap piece of cardstock and dab off any excess glue. Just put that scrap piece of cardstock on top of your glued die cut, and it will take away all of the excess and still leave your die cut sticky enough to layer another on top, which is exactly what I did here. And then to glue it down, you can do the same thing, dab away the excess glue, but I didn't feel like I had too much on there anyway. Now, that finishes this video, but that one was another card I made with the Quirky Rainbow and the unicorns as well. And I thought I would show it here because this is all about that fun deal going on at Syberia Designs. I really love the different looks you can get with this fun Quirky Rainbow die set. I really, really, really like that die set. And if you know Erica from Erica Kaka Crafts, she made so many cards just using this rainbow die. I will leave a link to her video down below in the description, along with a link to that other unicorn rainbow card that I made with these products as well. This was a bit of a longer video for me, but I hope you still liked it. And if you're still here, all of the products that I used today are linked in the description below, so you can check those out as well. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a thumbs up on this video, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and subscribe, because I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much for watching.